Old stuff is better than new stuff. I know, shots fired, right? Keep in mind, I've got some older stuff and some newer stuff, but my newer stuff is still 20 years old. So I'm seeing a huge trend, not just among me, not just among my friends, but across the country, that basic, simple cars are becoming far more desirable. The Chevette that went at Barrett-Jackson auction for huge money for a stone stock Chevette, I think that's an indicator that people are looking for those simple cars again. But let's be honest, why would someone be looking for a car like that Chevette, or an El Camino, or a G-body, or even the more desirable A-bodies? I'm seeing a lot of the 70s era stuff that has been long forgotten becoming far more desirable. Why is that? Well, I think it comes down to a lot of things. The perceived durability of these cars, they've been around for a while. They were made when steel was real. You lean on the fender of my El Camino versus lean on the fender of a new Dodge truck, that Dodge is going to oil can like crazy and just bunk, 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 deform left and right. I believe that there is a perceived durability with these old cars. I mean, that 56 Olds I got waiting in the wings, that thing was made when steel was real. And not to mention, these old cars can be repaired with basic processes. I say basic processes like welding. They don't have the composites and stuff the new cars have. They don't need the panel bonding and all sorts of specialty equipment and materials to be able to repair. More reasons why old cars are better: they're simpler to repair. We can see most recently that John Deere, the tractor manufacturer, got themselves in a heap of trouble when tractors were breaking down, and sorry, you have to come to us to use our proprietary software to be able to talk with these tractors. And I'll tell you what, that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way and made a move in the tractor world back to older, simpler machines. And let's be honest, there's nothing under there that couldn't be fixed with basic hand tools. So the simplicity here is part of what makes things attractive, especially for the hobbyist. And me, myself, and I'm going to rank myself as at least average, above average on the skill level, I can take care of this till the day I die. Whereas some of the new stuff requiring more computers, the new ADAS, automatic driver assist things, that's quickly moving out of the hands of hobbyists and at least the realm of scan tools that we can use to be able to work with these new machines. I mean, calibrating some of those sensors takes a fair bit of equipment that starts in the several $1,000s range unless you buy it used, which I'm not going to get into that because it is what it is. Old stuff is better because it simply looks better. And there's going to be a lot of people like, you're sitting on a G-body, that doesn't look like anything amazing. I realize that. But you know something? I personally will take the looks of my G-body over just about every new rolling egg on wheels. But there's a lot of cars out there that also have incredible visual appeal. The 1965 Buick Riviera, to name but one. That 56 Old is a beautiful car. The point is that this old stuff is far more better looking than pretty much everything. And I'm going to put an asterisk on that one because there is some cool stuff that comes out of new car manufacturers, but they're few and far between. On the whole, I'm going to take the aesthetics and general appeal of the old stuff over everything new. I mean, let's face it, you can get interesting cars like El Caminos. You can't have this one. This one's mine. Another thing that a lot of people find appealing about classic cars is the community around these cars. You get into some of those specialty cars like the El Camino, like the Riviera. There's a lot of unique groups that cater to that. And there's people in there that have parts squirreled away from, who knows what. They've got a vast collection and resources to help keep these cars on the road. Plus, they know where to find things in the aftermarket that may not be as easily listed through like a Napa or AutoZone, but they're able to find, oh yeah, you need this bearing from a this, something from a this, and it just works. So the community around these old cars is incredible. Now, I'm never going to come out and say that you should take emissions equipment or tamper with emissions equipment on your vehicle because legally I have an obligation to say that. And if I don't, the EPA likes to come after people on the internet saying things like emissions equipment is crap. But let's be honest, it kind of is. It gets in our way of doing things that actually make our cars run right. But that's a story for another day. The point is that these old cars have far simpler emission systems than new vehicles. New vehicles have all the computer-controlled EGRs, everything under the sun, the crankcase ventilation, the fuel evap system is all computer-controlled, and all of those things are complicated. Even take a look at the diesel world, the DPFs and the DEF. Those are all extremely complicated systems that are expensive to repair. I had some friends go through that. The DEF tank alone with the heater was a ridiculous sum of money, plus the effort to change it. Man, these older cars have far simpler emission systems, and that can be very easy to overcome those problems, if you know what I'm saying. The next point is kind of a matter of, we like to collect things, whether it's cars, and tools and various other things. The point is that you're going to develop skills and abilities to be able to fix, to restore, to be able to help others, to be able to work on everything that's around you. I mean, the number of people that come to me with weird things that are broken saying, "Hey, do you know how to fix this?" "Oh yeah, no problem." They say, "How'd you learn how to do that?" "I just work on old stuff that's broken and make it better and fix it." So being able to develop these skills to acquire the tools, your basic hand tools, power tools, welders, some of those specialty things, those can be very important. So take the time to develop your skill sets. These cars actually lead to some pretty cool avenues. The last point I'm going to get to is reliability and ease of bringing these cars back. And there's going to be people out there who say, old cars are not reliable. And I would beg to differ that when they're maintained, just like new counterparts, their failure rate is pretty darn low. And I tell you what, my 3.8 Buick hasn't eaten an active fuel management lifter. That's just a jab at the new LT series that are eating the FMs. But these cars are easier to revive. You got basic fuel tank, basic fuel lines, no high pressure pump, a mechanical fuel pump, a handful of filters, maybe. I've got one at the carburetor on most of my old cars. And old fuel systems can come to life. It's not expensive to do. And you don't have to worry about injectors and electronics and various other things that get in the way of bringing an old car back to life. The old stuff is simple to return to functional working order. Take the carburetor apart, rebuild it. Yes, I understand you can flow and clean injectors, but there's still times where they're corroded beyond belief. And I've got carburetors that are also corroded beyond belief that looks like they came off the bottom of the ocean. But there's going to be parts you can save and parts you can't save. And I would argue that bringing old stuff back to life is far cheaper than resurrecting new stuff. I want to hear from you. Is old stuff better than new stuff? My answer is always going to be yes. So let's get out to the garage. Let's go build something cool.